Cheers, everyone. Welcome to Riffin with HB. We talk about old school and underrated bands and try to bring them to the masses. And today we're talking about Cake. Recently, the founding member Greg passed away, so we're honoring the band and we're talking about them. We just spoke about um, Three Doors Down last week, and Brad, the singer, passed away unfortunately. So um, we did the same thing for Bob Weir for Grateful Dead. So if ever there comes a time where somebody passes away, we'll feel the need to honor them, and we'll go ahead and do the band if we haven't already covered them. And even if we have covered them, and still bring them up on the show. Coming, we're starting to do the show twice a week now, Thursdays and Saturdays. We're doing it Thursdays at 9 p.m. EST, Saturdays 2 p.m. Obviously, right now, schedule changes are bound to happen, but for now, that's what it's supposed to be. And Paramore will be our next band we'll be covering on Thursday. So appreciate you guys joining in. If you guys have any comments or requests for bands, you know where to put them. All right. Just before we get into it, I want to put this up on the screen. The current members up top, and then the four members down below, just to give everybody their credit. But to start off, Cake is an American rock band from Sacramento, California. Pretty cool. Sacramento is a great area of California. I've never visited personally, but just from the people that I see and the stuff on media and stuff, it seems like a really nice place. Consisting of John McRae, trumpeter Vince DeFore, guitarist Zan McCurdy, bassist Daniel McCallum, and drummer Todd Roper. The band has been through many lineup changes, as you guys can see here, but in all of them, McCree and DeFore have been consistently in the band since the start. And the band has also been noted for McCree's droll, sarcastic lyrics and deadpan vocals. And that's how you know Cake. On one of the most famous songs, The Distance, which probably everyone knows. We'll get into it, but that's a great example of that. And their wide-ranging musical influences, including country music, disco, rock, funk, folk, hip hop. They really bounced all over the place in really a super weird way, and that's what makes them so strange. Speaking of strange, we just covered a band, Little Stranger. Great example of, they were influenced by that type of music where people didn't stay in their lane; they just did whatever genre that they wanted. Let's get back here to the picture so you guys can see the band. Okay, so again, if you guys aren't familiar, what we're doing is we'll get through the facts of the band. I'm going to go through some songs that they charted, some of their albums, talk about their experiences, and then we'll get into some the fundamentals. I'll just kind of freestyle it and talk about what I think about them. So, just a second, let me pull up pictures here. Thank you guys for being here. At the end of the show, I'll give you guys a huge list of bands that we're going to be covering here soon. All right, let's get our start here. Cake was formed in 1991. A lot of the bands we've been covering were from the 60s and 70s. Finally, we get to cover some bands from the band we just covered was 2015. So nice to be able to cover some more modern day bands. To me, whenever I was a kid, this was a very popular band. It's very iconic of the 90s and early 2000s. Cake was formed in 1991 when McCree, a Sacramento, California native who had moved to Los Angeles with the band only to see it, quote unquote, quickly crumble around him, returned to Sacramento. He began looking for a new band to play with, and having grown tired of Sacramento coffee house circuit and quickly attracted the trumpet player, Vince, and guitarist Greg, who just passed away, bassist Sean McBessel, and drummer Frank French, rather. And all were active in the music scene at the time. And DeFore notes that McCree came back and stole us from other bands, quote unquote. The band soon came up with the name Cake, and rather than referring to the food, the name Cake is meant to be like whenever something insidious becomes part of your life. And we mean it more as something that cakes onto your shoe. It's the sort of thing. It's just sort of there until you get rid of it. we made it more something that cakes under your shoe and it's just sort of there until you get rid of it. And they have also stated that, like the um, phonetic punch word, yeah, because instead of it being like the cars or the doors, they explain that they just liked it being one word, cake. And McFessel soon left to attend college and was replaced by Gabe Nelson after touring and becoming part of the club scene in San Francisco. The band independently recorded and released Motorcade of Generosity in 1994, selling copies from their van as a method of paying for tour expenses. We just talked about this with Little Stranger. Great bands is what they did. Especially, now anybody can become TikTok famous overnight, but, you know, one of these bands were before any time before the 2020s, you had to really work to be able to become a band. You had to tour and really travel the world to even get your name known. Even now, that still doesn't guarantee anything. um, Motorcade, um, which the album's first single, "The Distance," written by Greg, actually became the band's biggest hit to date, and is considered their ubiquitous song, and it hit number 5 on the RPM Alternative 30 and entered the modern rock top 5 tracks. Modern rock tracks top 5. And says here that on the strength of The Distance, Fashion Nugget was certified gold on December 9th, 1996, and platinum on April 10th of 97. And the second single from Fashion Nugget, a cover of Fetty Friend, Freddie Perrin, and the Dino. I'm not familiar with that. And Dino Frecker's song "I Will Survive" hit number 38 on the U.S. modern rock tracks chart. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. That's why we do this show. We're learning these bands together because Cake's a band that I know, but just from radio play, it's not a band that I actually dove into. So it's always good to be able to like learn about the bands rather than just hearing about them. In '97, this is after the release of that song, and they started to get radio hit. Also saw lineup changes. Basic Victor and guitarist Greg both left, prompting speculation about how the band's survival, or about the band's survival. McCrane noted that, quote unquote, musically, there was a great symbiosis, and I really felt it. And their departure, especially Brown's, was the most stupid thing in the world. And we talk about the language of music and the symbiosis and sharing a brain and all these different terminologies that all these different band members know. And if you play music, that's just really super important to have. And whenever you find somebody that not only you have that musical symbiosis with, but the personal relationship with, to be able to get along with them, it's a special thing. Whenever somebody ends up leaving or dying, it creates a whole kink in the system, especially whenever bands are first starting. And there's so many bands we've already covered that is the exact situation. And there's a bunch more that we'll be covering where that's going to be the same thing. It says here that even though that they may not have been on good terms ever since his departure, Brown and them have Brown and Damani have formed a new wave influence, and I think the band is Death Ray. Yeah, the new wave influenced Death Ray. And their places within the cake were taken by Zan McCurdy and Gabe Nelson, who McCurdy persuaded to rejoin the band. So, unfortunately, man, it's hard for people to get along, to get together and play the music and do both of those things efficiently. This is prolonging the magic. McCray and Company to be a little more than the above average barroom act. Cake are surviving on songwriting crumbs. The album peaked at number 33 in the Billboard 200 and was listed in the Columbian as the second best album of 1998. It's incredible. And eventually went platinum after shipping over 100 million units. Not really a one hit wonder, though, I don't think. That album's first single, Never There, hit number one on the Billboard's Modern Rock chart and was followed by Let Me Go in '99, which hit number 30. Following the Prolonging the Magic's release, the band toured the United States, playing in cities including San Diego and Los Angeles. And a tour of Europe was temporarily postponed in March after McRae broke his bone and his hand while moving furniture, and also led to the delay of the European release of Prolonging the Magic. Both the album release and the tour happened mid-April, and Cake playing at the London Astoria later showed locations in North America, including Chicago, St. Louis, Missouri, and Toronto. The fourth album, Comfort Eagle, the band signed a deal with Columbia Records. This is before they signed or made their own record label. Comfort Eagle was both, which I'll talk about in a second. Comfort Eagle was both produced and arranged by the band and was recorded at Paradise Studios in Sacramento and Hyde Street Studios in San Francisco. Followed by recording drummer Todd. Following the recording, drummer Todd Roper left the band, citing the band's extended touring would put on his time and the commitments his two children represented. That's pretty typical. He was replaced by Pete McNeil. I talk about this a lot. You know, those bands were pumping out albums every single year, and it's a commitment. It's a job. You have to get up every single day and think about the next song you're going to write, the next chord progression you're going to do, and putting this work in. Whenever you start to become famous, it's almost like these. Well, it's not almost. It's definitely like these record labels and the fans demand more and more and more out of you. It's like squeezing juice from a lemon that has already been squeezed, and you're not going to get anything out of it. So we talk about this a lot, and your family's involved. That makes it even more of a reason to be like, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm going to take a break, sit on the back burner, and that creates more better music because you're living life, having experiences to be able to write those albums. The album's release was preceded by the release of its first single, Short Skirt, Long Jacket, described as a parable about the relationship between prosperity and the population boom. And there's nothing more procreational than the than economic prosperity. An accompanying video was directed by McRae and recording using the DV system. It featured Vox um, Populi recordings of members of public listening to the song, given their opinion. And Short Skirt, Long Jacket hit number 2 on the Bear Rock Top 10 in Canada and number 7 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks. It's incredible. I wonder what it makes me think what the other songs are. Maybe I'll look them up here in a second. The video became the 30 most requested tracks on MTV. Billboard writers later listed the video as 5th best of 2001. Let's check out some of the other ones from that time period. Number seven. Oh, Jesus, I can't talk today. Number 7 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks. So let's look that up. Oh, some good stuff, man. This is like really my type of music right here. So we got Hanging in the Moment by Lifehouse, Hash Pipe by Weezer, In the End, Linkin Park, Schism by Tool, Wish You Were Here by Incubus. Man, some great bands. The Middle, Jimmy Eat World, Chop Suey, System of a Down, Late Night, The Strokes. Anybody who says that music stopped being made in the 70s that was good, they're lying to you, dude. That's that proof right there. That's in 2001, early 2000s, and just sick band after sick band. Um, U2. Yeah, it's crazy to think that the Strokes got there early. That's like their start that early. I would not have expected that. I would have figured it would have been a little later than that. Be a great band to cover as well. Should write them down real fast. Give me just a moment. Let me check some comments. Make sure you guys didn't leave any in there. Cheers, cheers. Thank you guys for joining in. Let's get back into it. How long have we been writing? About 15 minutes or so. All right, let's get back to that album. Comfort Eagle itself was released on July 24th of 2001 to good reviews. The Houston Chronicle described it as cake at its best, while great album too, by the way. While a reviewer for the Atlantic Journal Constitution stated that the album's songs were among the best of the band's career, praising McCreary for widening his vocal repertoire. And James Montgomery, writing for The Unwire, noted that a stylistic change, saying that while the core sound of the band, honky tonk guitars, uh, mariachi horns, and salsa rhythms remain intact, they have been stripped down to the core, replaced instead with a little Casio beats and rubbery, funky, and stack style horn bleeds. You know, the sound of adding the trumpet is one of my favorite things about music. Once people do that, saxophone, the horn instruments, it's underutilized, especially in rock music. It has such a full sound, like sounds like an orchestra, like how music really should be. Um, it could be simple and be good, but it definitely could be really full and be just as beautiful. And the album sold over 2,200 copies in the first week, and the highest sales in the band's history, and eventually went gold. I'm gonna do some fun facts at the end of the show, and that album right there is one of the highest. It's the best selling album that did the lowest numbers. So they kind of felt that that was like ironically perfect for their band, and that's a great way to embrace it. Instead of being like, "Wow, we did the best, but we still like had the least amount of numbers," it's like it's exactly what they wanted. They're like, how perfect. With the exception of a slot um, at the Atlanta, it eventually went gold. On the Bricks Festival, playing for 90,000 people, the band chose to the start of the tour with a small rather than large shows, and such as the Sacramento area where they played around 100 people. Well, they launched their first full tour for the album in September, playing the United States, Canada, and across Europe. All right, we're getting into 2002 here. Love You Madly. Um, a second single was released, and with an accompanying video, again produced by McCree. And the video featured DeFore and McNeil competing in a cooking competition judged by Rick James, Phyllis Diller, and Jeff Smith, and was noted by Billboard as continuing the fresh, witty, and downright fun styles seen in Short Skirt video. Cake had planned the second tour of Europe, followed by a series of shows around the United States, but in the view of September 11 attacks, chose not to travel overseas, but instead, check this out, you guys. Instead, the band streamed a performance internationally from the Yahoo headquarters in California, playing emailed requests. That is such a crazy. In 2002, it was a different world. Again, you couldn't just get up on Instagram and be like, we're just going to go live and do what we're doing right now. You couldn't just do that. Even for a band like that, they had to use something like Yahoo and get people to email in requests. It's pretty cool. The United States tour went ahead as planned, and Cake playing concerts in Birmingham, Alabama, St. Petersburg, Florida, Salt Lake City, and Las Vegas. This was followed by the Unlimited Sunshine Tour, a traveling festival headlined and planned by the band featuring Modest Mouse, which we're going to be covering really soon, actually, De La Soul and the Flaming Lips. A second Unlimited Sunshine Tour was undertaken in 2003, featuring Cake, Cheap Trick, and the Henshaw, or the Hackensaw Boys. Never heard of them. The Hackensaw Boys. Y'all ever heard of them? Let me know. Maybe we'll cover them. Cheap Trick, Stuff and Band won't be covered soon enough. It's kind of crazy because especially during the September 11 attacks, it changed the whole world, and they're probably not the only band who decided to switch up touring, but that's fucking amazing that they were like, you know what? Let's just stream internationally. That way we can go all over the world. We don't even have to worry about choosing certain places. Anybody with internet connection can literally see us. So it's a beautiful thing. I love when bands do that. Especially, it's the same concept as comedy and music has so much in common. I'm going to talk about this a lot, and I'm not even a really super huge comedy fan, but I think it's important to notice the artistic similarities. And whenever people put out a comedy skit and they do it on YouTube, like their whole hour and a half, 2 hour live performance of their comedy show, they put it on YouTube. They get way more exposure. People love their stuff way more. They're going to end up selling more tickets, and everybody gets their stuff for free. So everyone wins. You get more of what you want, and the fans get more of what they want. It's a beautiful way to do it. All American Rejects. They've been going around. I don't know if they still are, but they've been going around recently the past couple of years and doing free shows all over the world. All you gotta do is show up. They'll be playing at college parties and block parties and you name it. Just venues everywhere that they can because they're giving back to the people. It's I respect people for doing what this guy's doing, and you get big and you want to go take time for your family and do your thing. That's respectful. I get it, but what more could you do than to give back? The drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chad, he's now doing lessons on Drumeo. You guys are playing drums and you want to learn how to play? Go to Drumeo and get lessons from the Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer. It's really sick because these people are starting to get big and they're giving back to the community. They're doing exactly what the fuck they should. And of course, the guy from Chili Peppers, of course, they would be the type of homies to get back anyway. But it's great. It's what we should be doing for our community if you're a musician, giving to people, helping them out, helping them grow. It's a beautiful thing. All right. All right, guys. Let's get into some. I got some fun facts. Let's just go ahead and read the fun facts for you guys. All right. Vibra The band often incorporates Vibra into their shows. It's pretty cool. Little fun fact there. And if you, well, especially later and on in their songs, they started to do that. If you notice, he'll be on stage actually playing that thing live. You guys give me just a second. The band's debut album, Motorcade of Generosity, was independently recorded and originally sold out of their van to pay for touring. Same thing with Little Stranger. They played out of their van, and this is what these bands were doing. They were trying to make it big, playing out of their van. Their 2011 album, Showroom of Compassion, debuted number one, selling just 4,400 copies. That's what it was in the first week, making it one of the lowest selling chart topping albums in history, which the band found ironically perfect. Almost every Cake song centers on a combination of a girl, a car, or the devil. That's pretty cool. I thought about that and I was like, wow, this is just crazy how the message will be right there in front of your face and you'll never really know it. But yeah, most of their songs are about a car, a girl, or the devil. It shows you how simple a song can be and that the lyrics don't really mean as much as the actual intricacy of the song. The band started their own record label, Upbeat Records, to maintain independence. I mean, that is what it's all about. I remember watching the Tom Petty documentary. Pretty cool documentary, and we'll get into Tom Petty later on. But did the same thing because you sign your life away. You're living in a van, and somebody offers you $50,000. You're going to sign it, and you're young, you're dumb, you're not thinking about it. You just sign that paper. You're like, okay, cool, we're going to make it big, and then they take all your money from you. So all that you could have made by doing it yourself, grinding it out, hustling, traveling, and making your own independent record label, they take it from you. It's like Napster, no different. But yeah, it's nice to be able to do Upbeat Records. Sorry, is the name of the record label. So it's nice to be able to do your own thing, make your own way. Bow down to no one. Do your own way. Do it your way. Especially when you're creating music. That's what it's all about, is being creative. It's not about being logical or strategic or you need to travel here. You should travel on more shows. You could be bigger. It's like, I just do music the way I want to do it. And that's all the way that I want to decide how I do it. If I want to travel here, I can travel here. If I don't want to travel at all, I don't have to travel at all. The short skirt, long jacket served as the theme for the TV show Chuck. I've never seen that show, but if you guys know, you know. John McCree has expressed interest in focusing on farming and gardening after his time with the band. That is dope. That's what I like to do. The guy from Metallica, that's what he does now. He owns a ranch, just lives a ranch lifestyle. Super humble guy. I watched a video of him the other day. I don't know, we're talking about cake, so I can't talk about Metallica too much. But yeah, there's a video of him playing before a show, and his hands are shaking. You can tell he still gets that same excitement and energy before a show. I love it. shows he really is passionate about what he's doing. But yeah, he owns a ranch and kind of does his own thing, off the grid, away from everyone. Tons of people in the rock community, that not just rock community, in the music industry in general, artists and stuff. So yeah, um, whenever I was a kid, that to me another iconic sound of this '90s and the early thousands is Cake for sure. And there's at that time music had a wide variety of color and flavor at that time. So we just read off of Linkin Park and Tool and all these different Lifehouse, so different varieties of bands. But yeah, to me, as whenever Cake came on as a kid, I didn't know what they were saying. I didn't know what it meant, but I know I loved it a lot. And still to this day, I still get the same feeling. Of course, there's songs I listened to when I was younger that I don't listen to now, but Cake still holds true. It's a generational thing. I think that's the best way for parents to get their kids into the music that they like is to start to bridge that gap. Okay, well, you're born in 2005, so you'll probably know Cake. And if you know Cake, you'll probably know Modest Mouse. And if you know Modest Mouse, you might know the Pixies and Nirvana, and you might know like older bands. And you keep going back and farther and farther because these bands are like, you know, connected to each other in some way. In the way I was just referencing, in like an obscure way. Like these bands are obscure as hell. So it makes them cake, because not because they're named Cake and not because they have the song The Distance. It's because they hold up this iconic image of being weird and quirky, and they embrace it. Just like selling the most selling, the best selling album with the lowest selling numbers. How many people would be so upset by that? But it's fucking cool that a band like Cake would be able to win it if they can embrace it. It was a weird time for music in the early 2000s. A lot of radio play. The radio started to get really big, and people started to get internet and phones, and they could start sharing music. So it was just really pushing the narrative. Today, whenever kids are watching, and this is their whole idea with the name Cake, is trying to like step away from the idea of the norm and step away from the idea of what the music industry is. That's why I have it in my notes. He believed the music industry had become controlled by consumerism. That's so true. And you're thinking to yourself, you're like, there's no way that Taylor Swift has this many views. How in the world? Like, there's no way that many people listen to her music, because a band like Cake, they're a great, amazing band that has sold out all over the world. Why aren't people listening to Cake? That's part of the reason why I do this show, to make people aware, to show them. And I'll explain to you why that Taylor Swift is more popular than a band like Little Stranger, Cake, or any of these other bands that I've covered. It's because that young kids have access to the internet now like never before. Where before, in the 60s and 70s, people had to be adults. They had to earn money. They had to be mature enough to have an understanding of what good music was. They had to take their hard-earned money, go to the store, pick out the songs of the albums that they wanted. So they had to make sure that they picked the exact one, the ones that were best to them. And then they had to take their money and go spend it out those concerts to go see them live so they could see the band perform. But now people were just clicking on their phones. I'm on my mom's account. I'm 3 years old. I'm just clicking Taylor Swift because it's algorithm. It's controlled by the masses and the media and consumerism, whatever sells. And again, I always sound like a Swiftie hater, and I sound like what I sound like. I don't really care, but there's no reason that people should be selling out that much money. And just like I was talking about, the drummer for Red Hot Chili Peppers taking their money and giving back to the community. What are people like Taylor Swift or Drake or any of these popular, whoever, Bad Bunny was just on the Super Bowl? Like, again, no disrespect or no hate, but like, what are you guys doing whenever you get up there? Like, what are you doing when you get there? What do you do whenever you got the microphone and you take it and you have an opportunity to say something? It's really important. And that's what these guys did with their music. And that's what so many of these bands that we covered did. That's why I like covering these bands. That's why I'm saying something about these, because they were genuine, they were real, they spoke about what they believed in, and they put it in their music, and it was badass. And that's what great music is. That's what great music does. And I think with that, I've said all there is to say. Let me check some comments here. Recorded off the radio on cassette tape. Yep, I was a little bit before my time, but I definitely get the reference. Some of my older cousins and my older sister would do that. Wait for the song to come on the radio at the exact time so you can listen to it, play it on your phone's your answer machine message. So yeah, I come from the time of where we could download songs and put it on there. I'm part of the problem. no doubt, because there's songs and bands that I used to listen to whenever I was 13 years old, and I was pushing those bands up to the top by listening to their albums, streaming their songs, and now I don't even listen to them because now I've understood like it's just like anything. Like when we're 13 years old, we don't have a great understanding about life since the content and the things that we're going to put ourselves around are not going to be ideal. We get older, we get mature, we understand what real music is and what good music is, then we apply that to our life. And I try not to take personal things into account too much. If a person's good, I try to just leave it at that, and not really take who the person is into account. But I definitely do. Buying a tape, that's what I'm talking about. We need to go back to tapes and records. I don't have a record player, but it's something I've always dreamt of. Because I love that old school sound. It's the intricacies as we get into AI music. People are love it or hate it. The way to differentiate yourselves from AI is to be able to, I don't play my chords on time. I switch up whenever the beat comes, or I play louder whenever the chorus comes in, so you could hear the guitar over my vocals. And it's intricate. It's the language of music, dude. You start to learn it. And to me, my ignorance is just while I doing the show, I'm doing the jam session after the show because it starts to help me learn the fundamentals of music. Again, as I grow older and want to mature and grow up and level up my music, I have to learn these things. And learning scales and stuff like that, because I already feel in my heart why a C to an A feels good, but I don't understand why. So if I can understand, oh, it's because these two have the same root, and then I can be like, oh, I can correlate it together and figure out keys and timing and all that kind of good stuff. Styles and dynamics. I feel when I was young, there was one phone on the wall, a long curly cord. Heck yeah, that's why we do this show because we're all getting older. So it's nice to be able to sit and talk about, whenever I was a kid, Rolling Stones was first on the radio. They were my favorite fucking band. They were just touring for the first time all over the world. Then I went and seen them in concert. Dude, they blew the fucking world. That's what the shit I want to hear because me, I can't get that. So that's the closest I can get is being able to just sit there and go, wow, tell me about whenever you first saw The Who or Black Sabbath or any of these bands, because that's where I can like connect to that shit. It's the same with you guys. You guys don't want to feel out of the loop of music. It's always good to find new music and see what's going on with the younger generations. So you come to me and you're like, yo, what's popping with this little stranger band you keep talking about? I'm like, you gotta fucking check them out. Check this shit out. I'll let you know. So if you don't know about Cake, check them out. And if you don't like them, fucking skip it. Who cares? There'll be another band next week that I'm sure you'll love, or in the upcoming weeks. So yeah, so the whole idea we're trying to get people to know, bridge the gap of generations, and nothing does that better than psychedelics and music, and that's what all our channel is about. Trying to bridge the gap from people that were born in the '70s who feel like they can't connect with the younger generation, but we can do it through things like music. It's simple. Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, man, y'all have a good day. We ran for about 35 minutes or so. Felt good. Yeah, I feel like next week will be a great episode with Paramore. We're also going to, it might run a little bit longer with that episode because we're going to do Haley Williams solo stuff and the band Paramore. You guys know Paramore. If you don't know, what the hell are you doing sleeping under that rock? The sun is shining. Go check out some of her new, if you haven't, if you know Paramore, check out some of her new solo stuff because it'll blow your mind. It's totally different. It's not like the hardcore punk alternative rock. It's more melodic and 80s and disco and very funky and free, floaty kind of music. It's really nice. Some trippy shit in there too. I might add. I don't know if it's directly related to psychedelics, but we're gonna learn and we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna start doing some research, and by next Thursday, we're gonna get into it. Um, so yeah, let me give you guys a list of some of the other bands we're gonna be covering. I'm not gonna keep doing this every time because it's such a long list, but I'll give you guys what I'm working on so far. Modest Mouse, I'm sure we're going to be covering soon. So next is going to be after Paramore, we're going to be doing the Black Keys. We're going to be doing Rush, the Allman Brothers, Little Straight. Or sorry, we already did Little Stranger. I forgot to move them up. My bad. Prof. Talk about Prof a lot. Prof and Little Stranger. I wanted to go ahead and get off my list really quick. because Prof's a rapper, super underrated. But if you like hip hop, that kind of stuff, check him out. He's coming out with a new album now. He just dropped a new song on Friday with Mexican OT and Future, I believe. But yeah, it's a great album coming out soon. He's already played a couple of whenever I saw him last April in Red Rocks, he played a couple of those songs live. So can't wait for the fucking album to drop. They're not even released anywhere except for that Red Rocks album. If you guys want to know who Prof is, go check out the Red Rocks performance and yeah, watch that all the way through. Sick ass concert. Seether, Steve Miller, Megadeth, Gin Blossoms, Modest Mouse, Wookie Foot, Godsmack, Rage, Rage Against the Machine, Sublime, Nirvana, Bush, Green Day, Foster the People, Linkin Park, The Police. We got a bunch of great bands, man. On and on and on. Starting to get more to the 90s and stuff too. But as along the way, we're gonna mix in some of the more old school bands. I'd love to get some of them more heavy metal bands like Megadeth and Black Sabbath, things like that. But Godsmack, Rage Against the Machine, Sublime, Nirvana, Bush, Green Day. That's gonna hit every tally mark for me on the way down. Those are bands that, as a kid, I had in my playlist 100%, and still to this day, they will definitely pop up. And I won't skip them usually. Cool, bunch of cool bands, man. I just wrote down a couple more, so again, moving on along. If you guys have any more, drop them in the comments. If you guys want to do jam sets, reach out to me on Discord, Headbuster all lowercase, hashtag 8595, Instagram all lowercase, Headbuster290. We're gonna be doing sleepover next Friday on Mystics, also here on HB Gems here. So yeah, we're gonna be staying up all night and see how long we can stream. We might do like a 12-hour long stream. So you guys bring snacks and bring your PJs. May bring some and some trippy shit and fucking come hang out. Speaking of that too, by the way, I got 2 new shows coming up. We do Riffin with HB, so we're gonna be doing 2 new extra editions. I know I'm gonna be cramming my life full of content, but we're going to be doing Roughing with HB, where I'm going to be staying out in the woods and camping and surviving off the wilderness and seeing how far we can rough it. And then we're going to be doing, speaking of cannabis, we're going to be doing a show called Puffin with HB. We haven't decided what we're going to put it on Mystics yet, but it's going to be on my personal channel, Headbuster290 on YouTube. And we're going to be just kind of shooting. It's going to be more chill, like what I'm talking right now. We're just going to be smoking and hanging out, shooting the shit, talking about bands. It's like, it'll be like open chat, talk about whatever. So yeah, I feel like I have a place for all my things now. I have a place for my philosophy talk with Mystics. I have a place for my musical talk with this show, Riffin. And then, I have my nature with Ruffin. And then I have my Puffin with HB, which, it's all about just hanging out with the people and smoking and fucking talking. Red Rocks was really fucking awesome, man. Yeah, definitely check out that Prof concert. And if you guys want to check out Cake, damn it. 1 second, let me find the name of that album again. I don't want to tell you wrong. Comfort Eagle. Yep. Go check out Comfort Eagle if you want to check out some Cake. Prof is like hip hop stuff. If you guys love rock and roll, get a bite full of cake. Cheers, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I'm missing. Derek's got Bible studies on Tuesdays. If you guys are Christian followers, Mythic Journeys, we're going to be getting back into the Bhagavad Gita. It's a Hindu scripture. And back on Way Back Wednesdays and all the way through. Hopefully Nerdy will be doing a show here soon on his own thing as well too. We'll be keeping you guys updated about that. Let's see if there's anything else I'm missing here. Yeah, come join us next Friday for a sleepover. We're going to see how far we can push the stream. This is to say how long it'll go, what'll happen, but as we get closer and closer, keep you guys updated. We figure Friday is a good day to do it because people, have Saturday off usually. So come join us and guys stay tuned for next Riffin with HB next Thursday. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Bye, everyone.